Hey everybody, Ben here from the Bonehead podcast and welcome to Dwarf starting rosters. So what we're doing is we're going through each of the teams that have been spoiled in the Blood Bowl 2020 rulebook, and we're looking at just what you can take for $1 million if you're planning on taking this team to your next league. We won't go too much into league development tips, but what we will do is look at what you can buy and what we think would be good to start a league. So for Dwarves, not a lot has changed. They've still all got tackle and block, and they're still reasonably priced. They've still got armor 9, and they are still slow. A couple of things have changed though. So the runners and the slayers have both gone up by 5k. Rerolls have stayed at 50, but that does hurt your initial build because you can't quite get that smooth 1 million build to get everything in now. So you do have to take a bit of a choice as to where you're going to fall down in your starting roster, which I don't think is the end of the world for dwarf teams. I think they are still going to be able to save up the cash to get whichever missing piece they go for. The disappointing thing about this is we were kind of hoping that the death roller would be changed up a bit, and it was, but it just got more expensive. So the death roller is the same, but it is 170k. It does come with dirty player plus 2, so if you're going to be fouling with it, go for it, but it's still a secret weapon, and at 170,000, I was really hoping price would go down, or secret weapon would be removed or something, and we would see it as a valid option for a roster. It's a really underpowered option now. We do have a Death Roller roster, so if you've got that model from Forge World, it's a very cool model, or one of the Fanath ones. You can put it in at the beginning of a league, but it's going to cost you an awful lot. So let's have a look at the rosters. So like I said, you can't quite afford everything, but if you do want everything from a positional point of view, you can go 2 runners, 2 blitzers, 2 slayers, 5 blockers for your 11-man line, and 2 rerolls. So that leaves you at 970. So you get 30k left over where you can plow into your dedicated fans, or you can put towards saving up 100k for your rerolls. The advantage of this roster is you start out with all those positionals, so you can start farming those SPP to get you there. If you want to go guard spam, mighty blow spam, you can do all that with this team, and you're going to save yourself time. Saving up 100k for rerolls is going to be a bit of a problem for dwarves, and the reason I say that is because even if you take 3 dedicated fan factor right out the gate here, the fan factor is going to be the income is going to be 30 to 40k a match based on your dedicated fans, your opponent's dedicated fans, split evenly, but you get a bonus for touchdowns. Now dwarves are one of the slower teams. The defense is excellent, but defense wins championships but doesn't win sponsorships apparently. So you're going to get 1 to 2 touchdowns a game, so your income is going to be lessened. However, any of you that has played against or been in a league with a dwarf team will know they don't tend to use a lot of cash. So if you want to take this roster, be prepared to play your first 3 games with only 2 rerolls, but at that point, when you get 100k, you get that 3rd reroll. By then your team has started to get some skill ups. That's when this dwarf team jumps to 1100 TV and really starts to dwarf things. That said, if you would rather start with those 3 rerolls and use your cash to actually buy players, what you can do is run the solo slayer build. So 2 runners, 2 blitzers, 1 slayer and 6 blockers with 3 rerolls gives you 11 dwarves. Your armor is actually a little bit better off, but you are paying 70k for a blocker. So you're losing speed. You're not really losing much agility because slayers can no longer pass at all. This is probably the most reliable build. Slayers are 95k now, so you've got 1 frenzy blitzer basically. You've got 2 actual blitzers that can do the job nicely. So you've got 4 players there with Ag 3+, which is the runners and the blitzers, so they can still do pick up the ball, they can still move around. The runners, you've got your sure hands and things, and you've got 7 players there that will struggle. This is probably a more reliable way to start the league, and if you go in for this, you end up just being able to spend that cash immediately on players, apothecaries, or picking up that second slayer to really maximize your bash. This roster takes you to 995, so you get no spare cash for dedicated fans, so you're going to have to do this the old school way. If you are a retro dwarf player, so you've been playing them through the last season, the solo slayer build is probably the one that's going to feel the most regular for you. You're only going to have the one slayer, but the rest of the dwarfing is going to happen. Realistically, you've got a choice whether you start with 2 rerolls or 2 slayers. I can't see any other top builds for dwarves in League. This one gets you that reroll, starting out with a dedicated fan factor, and just 2 rerolls of the other build might be more beneficial, but really what are you going to do with all that gold? The only other player you need to buy once you've got your Slayer is the Death Roller. But if you want to start with a Death Roller, let's look at that roster, because you can do it. It comes in at exactly 1 million, but you can buy it, but you have to give up a lot to have the roller, and this is, I cannot stress this enough, this is an unwise decision. But if you want to play dwarves on slightly less easy mode than they normally are, this is your list. So 2 runners, because you need that agility, you need the ability to pick up leader, because you've only got 2 rerolls, but also having sure hands and that extra movement is going to be so key for this roster. 8 blockers and a death roller. So you will get 1 drive with your roller. Then you're going to be playing with 10 dwarves and 2 rerolls, and 2 of those are positionals, the rest of them are blockers. If you want a challenge for dwarves, or you've got a really cool team but you don't want to run the standard one, or you just really love the death roller, taking it rostered will be a really interesting team. You're still going to have a ton of tackle block spam, so I'm not gonna undersell this. You can still play some serious Blood Bowl with just dwarf blockers. The 2 runners are going to be, you can maneuver the ball. What you're missing is a slayer and those blitzers for the extra movement. This team is going to be slower and you're going to be playing down on numbers, but that death roller is going to be infamous in your league because you're going to be starting every single game with it. And yeah, interesting roster. You can fit the roller in, but it will cost you the majority of your team. Anyway, that is it for dwarf starting rosters. Not a huge amount of variety, but there's 2 good options and 1 silly option, which I think is enough for people to consider. Not a lot changed with the dwarfs, but realistically, we need the agility teams to have a counter to them, or they'll just run away and no one will stand a chance. Anyway, thanks very much for watching. Leave a comment in the links below if you like the rosters, if you've got a better one, and what team you would like to see next. Thanks very much.